is good, you? It's your boy Ty back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're going to be ranking each and every one of these NBA tournament battles EVO cards from worst to best now that the in-season tournament basically group play is all done. Now, why am I doing this video for you guys? Because I think it's important for you guys to know how I personally rank them in that order and how good each and every one of these cards is for their, respective tier. Because, I mean, there's no reason for you guys to pick up a guy at number 18, EVO him, and then use him when a guy at number 2 is way better. So the guys at the top of this list obviously are going to be way more worth it for you guys to buy an EVO than guys that are a little bit lower. Now we're going to start it off at my number 30 with Norman Powell. Now, if you've not used Norman Powell and his release on slow, I don't know what to tell you. His release is probably one of the worst releases in the game. 6'4", 6'11" wingspan, and defensively he's horrible. There's nothing good about Norman Powell. He can't move because he's got no playmaking badges. His offense isn't good. He can hardly dunk the ball because he's 6'4". There's nothing good about Norman Powell in my team. He is, in my opinion, the worst out of all these NBA tournament EVO cards. Coming up next, Gary Trent Jr. at my number 29. We're going to rank all 30 of them. Gary Trent Jr. at least has gold limitless. At least his release isn't on slow, but he's not very good either. Only 6'5" defensively. Again, not good for Gary Trent Jr. Now, I will say his release is better than it has been in the past. Not that I want to sit here and hype it up. Not that I want to sit here and say it's the best release in the game, because it's not. But if you compare it to what it's, his release has been like in the past, it is ultimately better. Now, again, do I think it's great? Do I think it's the best release in the game? No. But it is one you can use, and I guess it not be that horrible. At my number 28, I gotta scroll down and find this guy, is Keldon Johnson. 6'5", 6'9" wingspan, can shoot. I mean, has some defense, but he's just overall not great. Only 6'5". I don't know if you used Keldon Johnson's release last year, but he doesn't play a ton of defense either. There's just not a ton going on with Keldon Johnson in my team. At my number 27, Anthony Simons. Only 6'3". I know he's got some playmaking shooting badges, but let's be honest with you. He plays no defense. As far as defense, he might be the worst defensive player on this entire list. 6'3", bad player build, no defense. Not gonna sit here and spend any time on him. At my number, that was 27. At my number 26, we're plugging into Jalen Williams. This card's not that bad because he can at least shoot the ball well, has decent defense. But my whole thing is this. He's 6'9" on the basketball court, and I think that's where I really struggle. I don't love him at the power forward position because he doesn't play a ton of defense, especially perimeter defense. And, I mean, he can shoot the ball well, plays a little defense. But when it comes down to it, I just don't see him as a complete power forward in my team. At my number 25, we're plugging in Patrick Williams. Now, this is a card, I'm going to be honest. He had potential. Patrick Williams had potential. Now, if the Chicago Bulls weren't such a disaster, he probably would have at least gotten one EVO. He gets no EVO. Yes, he can shoot the ball. He's got a decent player build, but he doesn't have any defensive badges. That's the big red flag for Patrick Williams. The card's not that bad. He just could have been way, way, way better. At my number 24 is actually a card that has a few EVOs, and that is Talen Horton-Tucker. So what is the problem with THT? Well, let's start with this. 74 3-ball. I don't know about you guys, but his 74 3-ball is, in my opinion, not what we are looking for. Yes, finishing-wise good, playmaker-wise good, and even defensively can hold it down. But remember, he's only 6'4". That leaves a lot to be desired. I just wish his 3-ball was a little bit higher so I could try to at least make the case for THT. I just can't. He's not very good. At my number 23, Denny of DI, and you guys might be like, what? This guy doesn't even have an EVO. He doesn't, but his stats remind me of Lamar Odom. And if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know. He can just do a little bit of everything. Can shoot the ball a little, plays decent defense, rebounds the ball decent. Badge-wise, not good for Denny, but he's also 6'9" at the 3, and I personally think you could do a lot worse than Denny. Not my favorite card in the game, but is a card you can run out there and use a little bit of. At my number 22, we're plugging in Emerald Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren, okay, didn't get an EVO, but he's got 73 speed, 80 interior, good rebounder, and decent enough defense. Now, sure, I mean, you guys might be like, Ty, Jalen Williams is better than Jalen Duren. I get why you guys say that, because, you know, he can shoot the ball, he might be a little more complete, but the one thing about Jalen Duren is he's 6'11". That by itself matters more than I can even tell you guys, because, I mean, the difference between 6'11 and 6'9", especially if you're up against Shaq, up against Wilt, is massive, especially with his rebounding. I just think he is that little bit better. At my number 21, card who had potential, Luke Kennard. If the Grizzlies weren't so dang bad, this card could have gotten an EVO and he would have been decent because his shooting badges are just so elite and he's got a good release. Release on quick, shooting badges elite. That's why I respect Luke Kennard, but his defense is just absolutely abysmal. He's 6'5", at least he gives you something on the court, but I'm telling you, his defense, one of the worst on this entire list. Cracking our top 20, we're plugging in Emerald Mark Williams, or I guess Sapphire Mark Williams, because he did get one EVO. The problem with Mark Williams is his EVO wasn't good. I mean, his anchor workhorse did go up, got way better finishing, but I just wish he got a little bit more when it came down to his EVO. I don't want to sit here and say Mark Williams is horrible, because I don't think he's horrible. I just think there are better overall cards in the game. At my number 19, Kevon Looney, Mr. Looney Tunes, 75 speed, decent enough defense, good rebounder, good defensive badges. I don't hate Kevon Looney at all. And honestly, I actually kind of like this card. As crazy as it is to say, I really don't mind Kevon Looney. I think this card can play at a pretty decent level. Now, the question then becomes, why is he not higher? Well, the 69 3-ball is not great. He's undersized at 6'9". He's just a better Jalen Williams. That's the best way I can phrase it for Mr. Kevon Looney on why the card is not higher. At my number 18, Caleb Martin. There are some people that really like Caleb Martin. And as far as a 3-and-D guy, I can see why they like him. The problem for me is he's only 6'5". His release is fine. I just don't think it's great. And, I mean, he's got basic dribble style. I just don't know how I'm supposed to sit there and love on this card, hype this card up. Badge-wise is really solid, especially on the defensive end of the court. There are just better 3-and-D options on this list, in my opinion. One of them, right here. This one's going to split the community, the fact that I got DeAndre Hunter over Caleb Martin. But he's longer, he's lengthier, he's, in my opinion, just a better 3-and-D option. Now that's just my opinion. Why? He's 6'8" compared to the 6'5". And again, the rest of the cards gonna be relatively similar. DeAndre Hunter, another card that had so much potential as a 3-and-D option in my team. I mean, if you look at how many of these cards had potential as a 3-and-D option, there were quite a few of them. DeAndre Hunter, one of them that had a ton of potential. Obviously, the Hawks didn't win enough for him to see a ton of EVOs, but he is really solid. At my number 16, Amen Thompson. I never thought this card would be anything, but he's got 95 speed, really good defensively, and a 73 3-ball is good enough. I don't love this card, but he provides something a little different. I don't even want to call him a 3-and-D option because his 3-ball is a 73, and that's the problem. Right now in my team, the most important attribute is that 3-ball, and his is only a 73. That's why he's not higher, but he is an intriguing card in my team nonetheless. At my number 15, Josh Hart. Crazy. An amethyst Josh Hart is all the way down here at 15. But he's 6'4". His release is not great. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not great. I mean, his best thing is rebounding the ball. But he's a shooting guard at 6'4". Like, I get it. Hall of Fame rebound chaser is a super important badge. I'll tell you guys that all day long. But at the shooting guard position, is it really that important? I mean, maybe if Josh Hart was like 6'6", I would hype this card up. But 6'4" at the shooting guard position, and one of your 2 Hall of Famers is rebound chaser. I just don't know. Gonna shoot the ball well with the Hall of Fame catch and shoot. I just don't know about Josh Hart. Guy at 6'4" I like more is Josh Okogie. Now, again, Josh Okogie, Josh Hart, I think it's preference, whoever you like more. At least with Okogie, I think he gives you a little more as far as perimeter defense. Whereas a guy like Josh Hart, you know, he has that rebound chaser. He's going to compete maybe better on the interior. As well as Josh Okogie does have the Devin Booker dribble style, which is super important. One of the cheesy things about this card. Again, I don't love Okogie. I don't love Josh Hart. There's a reason these amethysts aren't any higher, but they are what they are in my team. Malik Monk coming in at my number 13. Now, I don't love Malik Monk, but I appreciate him a little more as times went on. Why? Well, because offensively, he is a cheese ball. I know defensively, he has no defensive badges. He's horrible, only 6'3". But offensively, he has every shooting badge in the game. And even for like offline modes, he's going to be good. Good driving dunk, good 3-ball. I know his dribbling isn't great. You know, he's not great in general. But I've grown to appreciate Malik Monk a little bit more as time has went on. Again, not a perfect card by any means, but he is a diamond. His badges count as good. Offensively, he is an issue. I respect Malik Monk, putting him at number 13. At my number 12, Josh Green. Now, you guys might be mad. Josh Green over Josh Kogi over Josh Hart. What? That doesn't make sense. Hear me out. What does Josh Kogi or Josh Hart do over Josh Green? Josh Green is 6'7", and he is a 3-and-D guy in my team. And I know you guys might be like, okay, but a Kogi or Hart's better, and that's fine. You can have that opinion. But if a card is 6'7", I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't love his release. That's a reason he's not any higher. But Josh Green is really solid. At my number 11, Tobias Harris. I never thought I'd be this high on Tobias Harris, but I like the card. He can do everything at a pretty solid level. Wish his acceleration was a little bit higher, so if there is one complaint I do have with Tobias Harris, it's that I wish, you know, again, his acceleration just was a little bit higher. But as far as the 3-and-D small forward in my team, doesn't get much better than Tobias Harris. At my number 10, cracking the top 10, Jonas Valanciunas. Now, Jonas Valanciunas, his first EVO was his best EVO. His first EVO gave him speed, gave him a little more defense. His second EVO was useless. And his last EVO, I mean, improved the 3-ball a little bit, but didn't do a whole lot. But as far as a 3-and-D big that can compete on the interior, Joe Val's a guy for 14,000 MT that can do it. A little different than a lot of these other big men that you'll see coming up here. But I like Joe Val. Decent release, gonna compete on the interior, has an 83 3-ball. I like and respect Joe Val quite a bit in my team. At my number 9, Caris Levert. Not a card I really love or want to sit here and gas, but he has a smooth release. Movement-wise is good, 6'6". He's just the guy you can put out there, and he's gonna hold it down. Different than a guy like a Kogi, different than a guy like Josh Hart, but Caris Levert, 6'6", better height, gonna compete decently defensively, and offensively gonna give you a little more than a lot of the shooting guards that I have went over and talked about. At my number 8, Naz Reid, 81 3-ball, 79 speed, solid defensively. Different than a guy like Jonas Valanciunas. Naz is going to be a little more agile, not quite as big, not quite as strong, but he is going to be a little quicker. And in my opinion, Naz release, it's one you're probably going to have to get used to. Very similar to the Jarred Vanderbilt base, in my opinion. But I like Naz as an amethyst, especially at the power forward position. I think you can use him and have lots of success with him. At my number 7, I'm plugging in Wendell Carter Jr. Very similar to Naz Reid. I'm telling you that right now. Wendell Carter Jr. and Naz Reid are so similar on the court. So what's the really big difference? Well, Wendell is an inch taller. That's the biggest thing. And then again, when you compare the cards side by side, maybe strength a little bit better. Naz might be a little more faster. It really is preference based. I do think I'd rank them Wendell, Naz, Joe Val in that order from top to bottom. But again, it's your preference. If you like Joe Val more than Wendell and Naz, do what you got to do. Put Joe Val higher. It really all is preference. At my number 6, a guy I like more than all of those bigs, Diamond Bobby Portis Jr. 84 3-ball, 76 speed, a solid defensively, Hall of Fame brick wall, and a post lockdown. The thing for me is, I think we got a lot of good big men when it came down to a lot of these EVOs. Like the difference between Bobby Portis Jr. and a guy like Naz Reid or Wendell Carter Jr. just isn't a ton. And I was really disappointed with Bobby Portis' last EVO. I mean, I wanted him to get a few more badges. 22 base badges on current gen, might have more on next gen. It's just not really what I was ultimately looking for. Not that it's horrible. I was just hoping for a little bit more. At my number 5, we're plugging in Bennedict Mathurin. Now again, Bennedict Mathurin compared to Bobby Portis, you could have one over the other. I just think shooting guards are just a little more important at this stage than power forwards, just because we didn't get that many great shooting guards. Now, we'll see one a little bit higher, but as far as Bennedict Mathurin, offensively, way better than defensively. Good release, can't complain about that. Wish his movement was a little bit better. Maybe it's just me not being able to move with him, but no quick first step obviously does hurt the card. And again, I just wish he had more total defense. Only 6'5", not necessarily great there. Wish he was a little bit taller and had more defense. At my number 4, we're plugging in Dorian Finney Smith as an amethyst. Yes, he is at my number 4. I love DFS. Plays so much defense. He never misses. And I think that's one of the most underrated parts about DFS is the card literally does not miss on the court. Catch, shoot, corner specialist, has Hall of Fame workhorse, 84 3-ball, feels like a 90. His release isn't even the quickest, but he never misses. Dame dribble style for his small forward is really, really solid as well. And I think a big reason I like DFS quite a bit, and this is just me, is just when I look at these small forwards in my team, the budget small forwards, I just don't think it's that deep of a position. Now, maybe that's me being biased, but when I look at the next best small forward outside of DFS, I don't think it's great. I'm a big DFS supporter. This one's going to surprise a lot of people. At my number 3, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. It's crazy that the Denver Nuggets highest EVO card is only a ruby, man. It's crazy. You thought they'd, maybe go 4-0, he'd get to a diamond. He's only a ruby. But even at the ruby tier, I love KCP. Good release, good player model, player build, has silver range. Shooting wise, you can't ask for much more. I know it's weird to kind of sit here and be like, I mean, as a ruby, he is this good, but he is. And you guys can't even sit there and say I'm like gassing it. He is that good in my team. Sure, I might like it more than a lot of people, but as far as 3 and D options, KCP is that man in my team. At my number 2, Jarred Vanderbilt, 83 3-ball, good speed, good lateral quickness, good interior perimeter, can rebound the ball well. So many people are like, oh, Ty, but he doesn't have anchor. Oh, Ty, but he doesn't have clamps. Oh, Ty, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. I get all that. But what does he have? Let's, again, glass half full, glass half empty. When you look at the glass full, look at everything he's got. He can dunk the ball. He can make some plays. He is just so tough as far as an overall card in my team. And I think he is tough to beat on the court. Only 6'8", but he plays such good defense, rebounds the ball well, just competes at such a high level. And as my number 1 best EVO card we have seen in my team throughout the NBA tournament battles is Derrick White. 84 3-ball, great release, good speed, great defensively. Budget point guard, this is who I'm going with as maybe the best overall budget point guard in the entire game. I think he is. Great release, Hall of Fame challenger clamps, shoots the ball immaculate. There's just nothing wrong with Derrick White. 6'4", good frame. I think he is my favorite NBA tournament battles player. And if I was telling you guys to EVO a couple of cards, Derrick White would be at the top of my list. So let's say you got to EVO 2 cards, I'd go Derrick White, Jarred Vanderbilt. Those are the 2 main ones I see. After that, I just say KCP because he's only has 2 EVOs, so he's super easy to do. And if you have those 3 guys, Derrick White, KCP, and Jarred Vanderbilt, you're going to have a great start to your squad heading into the holiday season. And remember, all these cards are 14,000 MT. These cards are really not super expensive. And so again, I strongly recommend you guys doing your thing. That's going to wrap it up for our video, ranking them 30-1. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.